In a small dusty village lived two sisters, Mary and Lucy. Their faces were marked by scars from a sickness they survived as children, and their clothes were old and torn. The villagers called them ugly and laughed whenever they walked by. Mary and Lucy were poor but kind. They lived in a broken mud hut left by their late parents. Every day, they carried water from the stream and worked hard to survive, even as cruel words followed them everywhere. Children in the village pointed fingers at them, shouting, "The ugly sisters." The words stung deeply, but the girls pretended not to hear. At night, Lucy cried while Mary whispered, "Don't mind them. We are more than what they see." Though their hearts were heavy, the sisters promised each other never to give up. They believed that one day, their story would change, and the same people who mocked them would see their true worth. One afternoon, while fetching firewood in the forest, Mary and Lucy met a kind old woman named Grace. She saw how tired they looked and offered them food. For the first time in many days, they felt cared for. Grace told them, "Do not let the world's cruelty bury your light. One day, your suffering will become your strength." Her words stayed in their hearts like a seed waiting to grow. The village announced a festival where all young girls would dress beautifully and dance before the chief. Mary and Lucy were excited but nervous, for they owned no fine clothes and feared more mockery. When the day came, the other girls wore bright wrappers and beads, while the sisters stood aside in their torn rags. Laughter echoed around them as they tried to join in. Yet deep inside, their spirits refused to break. That night, Lucy wept bitterly. "Why were we born like this, Mary? Why can't we be like the others?" Her tears fell into her hands as if she was trying to wash away her pain. Mary hugged her tightly and said, "Maybe we were not made to fit into their world. Maybe we were made to change it." Her words gave Lucy a spark of hope. The next morning, Mary found a small clay pot at their doorstep. Inside was a folded note, "What is broken can still shine." The sisters looked around, but no one was there. Though confused, they took the pot as a sign. They decided to use it to store coins they earned from doing chores for villagers, no matter how small the payment. Mary and Lucy began weaving mats from palm leaves. Their work was rough at first, and people mocked them again. But slowly, their hands grew skilled, and the mats became strong and beautiful. Soon, travelers passing through the village started buying their mats. For the first time, the sisters had coins jingling in their clay pot. Other village girls grew jealous. "How can the ugly sisters be praised for weaving?" they muttered. Some tried to spoil their mats by stepping on them in secret, but Mary and Lucy did not fight back. Instead, they worked harder, weaving with patience and love. Their mats lasted longer than any others, and buyers kept returning. One day, the chief's servant came to their hut. "The chief wants mats for his palace," he said. Mary and Lucy could hardly believe it. They worked day and night until their fingers bled. When the mats were delivered, the chief was amazed. "These sisters are poor, but their hands are rich," he declared. From then on, their names spread beyond the village. The jealous girls who mocked Mary and Lucy decided to play a trick. They told the chief's son that the sisters were witches who used charms on their mats. The chief's son, curious, went secretly to watch them. But all he saw were two sisters working hard, singing softly as they wove. His heart was touched. The chief's son, David, introduced himself the next day. "Your work is honest, and your hearts are pure," he said kindly. Lucy blushed, unused to such words from a man. David began visiting often, bringing small gifts of food and thread. For the first time, the sisters felt what it meant to be respected. One night, a fire broke out in the village. The jealous girls tried to blame Mary and Lucy, shouting, "They brought this curse." But David defended them, saying he saw the true culprits, two boys playing carelessly with fire. The villagers were ashamed, realizing they had wrongly judged the sisters. The village elders apologized to Mary and Lucy. "We mocked you when we should have lifted you," they admitted. The sisters forgave them, though the pain of years of mockery lingered. With new respect, people began helping them repair their hut, bringing wood and clay. The sisters felt a new chapter opening. David once told Lucy, "You may think yourself ugly, but beauty is not in the face. It is in the heart." His words healed wounds deeper than any scar. Mary smiled quietly. Though she carried her pain differently, she too began to believe that their worth was not tied to looks. Mary and Lucy traveled to a nearby town to sell their mats. There, strangers treated them kindly, not knowing their past. They sold every mat and returned with bags of food. For once, the sisters laughed freely as they walked home, their clay pot heavier than ever before. As their fame grew, some villagers tried to flatter them. "We always knew you were special," they lied. Mary shook her head, saying, "True friends are those who stand with you in the storm, not in the sunshine only." Lucy agreed, reminding herself never to forget their humble beginning. One evening, Grace, the kind old woman who first encouraged them, passed away. The sisters cried deeply, for she was the first to see their worth. They wove a special mat with her name stitched in patterns and laid it on her grave, promising to carry her words forever. Another festival was announced. This time, the sisters wore wrappers they bought from their earnings. Their beads glowed under the sun, and they walked proudly into the crowd. No one laughed this time. Instead, people clapped as the sisters danced with joy. David stood before Lucy under the same tree where she once cried. With a smile, he said, "Will you be my wife?" The village gasped, for no one expected the chief's son to choose her. Lucy trembled with joy. "Yes," she whispered, as tears of happiness fell from her eyes. Years later, Mary and Lucy were no longer called the ugly sisters. They became known as the strong sisters, symbols of hope for all who were mocked or despised. Their story taught the village that true beauty is not in smooth skin or fine clothes, but in kindness, courage, and love that endures. The end.